What is up, golf fans? Welcome back to another Tap In Fantasy Golf video. My name is Kyle, and I'm the founder of Tap In Fantasy. We have one vision, and that is to bring the fractured fantasy golf landscape to one platform. Yes, you heard that right. We call it the 6 pillars of fantasy golf. We're going to have traditional fantasy, one done, drafts, tiers, salary-based games, and betting all in one place. We are currently in the opening phase with development. Everything is still underway. Once we get a solid foundation built, we can't wait to show it off. But for right now, we are just going to be talking golf. Every week, I will be releasing a video, an article, and a video highlighting everything you need to be successful for the main slate Draftkings contest for that tournament. Once we get our platform up and running, we're going to transition over to content for our own website. But for right now, it is just Draftkings. We want to put you guys first, the community. You tell us what you want on our platform, and we assure we are going to make it happen. But to support us, please check out tapinfantasy.com. Sign up for our newsletter. It's going to have all of our early beta access info, any updates we have along the way. Make sure you do that. All you need is an email, and you are good. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content drops, and follow us on our socials. It will go a long way towards helping us grow and become the industry leader in all things golf. For links to everything you need, just check out the description of the video, but we're going to go ahead and transition into golf. Thankfully, we are through what I consider the worst stretch of golf on the entire calendar. With the Zurich and the CJ Cup, we can get back to some serious golf. We're off to Philadelphia Cricket Club. This is a debutante course since Quail Hollow, which is the usual Truist venue, is the host for the PGA Championship this year. So we're off to Philadelphia Cricket Club. All right, for the Truist this week, we are again at Philadelphia Cricket Club. This is a debutante course. So just in general, we are not going to have a lot of data to go off of for this video. So I'll apologize in advance if a lot of it's just kind of picking and choosing stats, because we don't really have a lot to go off of. And with that, we don't have a lot to go off when it comes to weather as well. All the golfers are going to be going off on Thursday and Friday between 11 and 1 p.m. That alone, it's a 2-hour window. It's going to be almost impossible to find any sort of edge. And then just looking at the weather in general, so this is kind of the pocket we're starting at. I think early on you are going to see some pretty easy conditions. I think guys will be able to score. But like it shows right here, we're going to have some weather. If not Thursday, 100% on Friday. So these guys are going to be playing in some sloppy wet conditions, but they're all going to be playing at the same time, and there might be like a 3 or a 4 hole difference between the first group and the last group. So finding an edge is going to be almost impossible. If you are going to have one, it's going to be, I would say, probably the Thursday, the first group's going off, like in general. So we are talking it's going to be this Ben Griffin, Lucas Glover Stevens, Harmon Cantlay, and Tom Hoagie, and then the Highsmith English, Rasmus, Bobby Mack, Davis Thompson, Denny McCarthy groups. Like those guys, if we can get really lucky, and this weather kind of pushes up towards like midday or 1 o'clock, those guys could get through 6 holes in great conditions, and then the other guys are going to be playing in the rain the entire time. That alone for just Thursday might give you a slight edge, but the rest of the week it's going to be almost impossible to predict. I think Saturday, just looking at these wind gusts, that is going to be the day you just need to hold the line. So like if you can just score even par, beat the field in general, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I think that'll put you in a really good spot to contend on Sunday, because Sunday we're going to have almost spectacular conditions. They're going to be going off probably fairly around the same time, around this 10 to 11 o'clock time frame. And look, I mean, you have literally no wind, and it's going to be like 70 degrees. I mean, they're going to score on Sunday. I could definitely see a guy that is multiple strokes back making a push just because they played phenomenal golf. So that's really all I have for weather. I don't see much of an edge in general. And again, this isn't a debutante course. We don't really have any data on it. Just from watching videos around the industry, it looks like it does play fairly tough. And being a par 70, it does play fairly long in the sense that you really have to hit. There's going to be certain areas from about 295 to 305 where there are going to be a lot of sand traps. You either are going to have to come up short, or you're going to have to clear those. So the big time hitters are going to have a huge advantage because they're going to be clearing basically all the trouble off the tee, and they're going to have some wider fairways. Some of these shorter hitters, they might struggle, or their balls are going to be landing in some trouble areas. They might get stuck in some of these sand traps because this course has a ton of sand traps. Again, all in all, we're at Philadelphia Cricket Club, and it should be a really good one. So with that, let's go ahead and head into our custom model, our ownership projections, and kind of try to identify some golfers that look really good for this week. All right, so for the Truist this week, we are looking at an elevated event. It is 72 golfers, no cut, and we are again at a course that we have never played on the PGA Tour. So it's going to be very tough to kind of pick through the data. We don't have years of data to go off of. We're not going to have any course history to go off of. So I'm really going with my model off of watching some videos throughout the industry, trying to get a good glimpse at what this course has to offer. And from what I understand, again, it is a shorter course, but you do have to look at it as it is a par 70. So is it really short in terms of from a hole-to-hole standpoint, or is it just short because there are, again, it's par 70. It's not a par 72. We're not adding an extra par 4 or extra par 5 or 2 for that matter to really extend things. And from what the industry is saying, this is going to be one of those courses where if you can hit it far, you will clear a lot of the issues off of the tee, and that is going to be sand traps. This course is littered with sand traps. Again, that is going to be off of the fairway and around the green, but most importantly, for a lot of the sand traps on the fairway, they're going to be coming in this like 280 to 300 yard bucket. So if you can carry it over 300 yards, you are going to be in really, really good shape. So again, Rory, he hits it an absolute mile. He's probably going to be perfectly fine, and it kind of showcased in the projected ownership. So for my model, we're going to be looking at a lot more distance over accuracy. Tee to green is going to be very important. Just getting to the hole. So greens and regulation is going to be very important, and you're not going to want to hit bogeys or pick up bogeys. If you're picking up bogeys and stringing bogeys in a row, it's going to be really tough to get out of a rut because there's not many scoring opportunities. So for my model, I put 15 on tee to green. This is going to be one of the only weeks that I don't do much with approach. But again, tee to green does factor in approach. So that's kind of where my head is leaning. As well as weighted strokes gain total. Some of these guys in the lower echelon, lower salary, they might have much better strokes gain totals numbers, but that's because they're not playing in elevated events. We've had a lot of non-elevated events lately. So if we're looking at the last 36 rounds, 36 rounds, we're going to make sure we need that weighted. So again, 15 tee to green, just regular, and then 10 on weighted strokes gain total. As we go through, I'm going to be big on bogey avoidance. I think we're going to get a winning score in that like -10 to -14 range. And I think these guys that are just spray and pray, they pick up a lot of birdies, but they also pick a lot of bogeys. I think it's going to be really tough for them to keep up. Those guys that are just grinders, consistently getting par, not picking up bogeys, and then just taking advantage of the scoring opportunities, I think are going to be in a really good shape. 15 on driving distance. Again, I think these guys that hit it far are going to clear a lot of the issues off of the tee on the fairway and make for a much easier approach shot in. And then looking at approach, just greens and regulation. From what I understand, these are smaller greens, and they're going to be tough to hit. They're also multi-tiered, so if you're not hitting it to the correct tier, you're almost always going to be hitting from a good distance out. And I think that in general is going to make it less of a putting contest and more of just who can lag putt their way up to within a couple feet and tap it in for just a 2-putt. We will see a lot of 3-putts, picking up a lot of bogeys that way. So yeah, you're really going to need to hit the green in regulation. Around the green, again, there are a lot of sand traps, so I'm going to put sand saves, which with that comes scrambling. So I think these kind of go hand in hand. And then this is a bent grass surface, so I want to make sure these guys are good putting on bent grass. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, course types. I did put short courses just because this in general is a fairly short course. Some guys just play a lot better on those style of courses versus these extremely long courses, and that doesn't even have to do with trying to bring some of these shorter hitters more into play in my model. I'm just saying some guys are playing much better on short courses. So yeah, that is for my model, and what is showing up? Shocker, we've got Rory at the top, and it's pretty reflective in the projected ownership, close to 50% owned. I think in general his game fits this almost flawlessly. So he's first tee to green, last 36 total. Start seeing total weighted. He doesn't hit many bogeys. He outdrives this entire field by an absolute mile. He's good out of the sand, good scrambling, putts just fine on bent grass. He's good on short courses. I mean, what box does he not check? Like, nothing. Might be greens regulation. I think it comes with, he just absolutely has some meltdown holes. And that's not to say he can't have some meltdown holes, and he might have a few around here. But just, his game is almost flawless right now. I'd honestly say, even though we have Scotty coming off tying the record for the lowest round in PGA history at 31 under, I think it was. I still think Rory is playing better this year, and he's carrying a ton of momentum into this one, and is going to want to carry a ton of momentum from this one into the PGA Championship next week. So no surprise at all that he's at the top, and then no surprise at all that we have 3 of the 4 guys in the 10K range, 1, 2, and 3. Xander also checks a ton of boxes. He's going to be really highly owned. But I think one of the guys that I'm going to be more focused on is going to be JT. I just don't understand why Xander is 30% owned, and JT is coming off of his first win in like 1,000 days and is only 18% owned. I mean, there's 4 guys alone in the 10K range, along with Colin, who's 9th in my model, and even he is higher owned. I just think from an ownership perspective, this is going to be one of those weeks. If the field is going to take everyone but JT, I'll go ahead and take JT. I know he has a tendency to kind of mentally fall apart. So if he starts having a couple bad holes in a row, things could go south. It's not like he has to win this. He's riding the high of coming off a win finally. I think he can finally relax and play, his style of golf. And it is reflective in the numbers. All right. So strong overall tee to green total. He doesn't hit many bogeys. He drives it far enough. He gets out of the sand and scrambles incredibly well. I think the only thing that's going to hold him back, he doesn't putt well on bent grass. But he is one of the best. Actually, he is the best in this field on short courses. I think this really could be a spot for him. As long as he can putt well and just putt to just a 0, I think he literally could win again this week. Some other standouts, I do want to go ahead and say this. This is Alex Noren's first week back since, I think, October. He had, I think, a few surgeries, a couple nagging injuries that were really getting in his way. So I would take this with a grain of salt. These numbers are coming from, again, pretty much last year. So he hits barely any bogeys. So I guess that's very much a positive. He doesn't drive it far. That's going to be the big holdup. But everything else he seems to do well. I just don't know if his first week back, being in an elevated event, if he can really, pick up where he left off, because he was playing really, really good golf. I'm actually kind of intrigued to find out how well he was playing going into that injury. In October of 2024, that was the last time he played. We're looking T12, the PGA Championship, T30, BMW Championship, T90. He was playing great golf. I don't see why not, but again, grain of salt for pretty much everything this week. We just don't have a lot to go off of. 2 guys in the 9K range, I'm not surprised at all with Tommy and Ludwig. Ludwig is going to probably, I think, come in under-owned. His game has been a little shakier as of late, basically since his win. But just in general, he's still playing. Like, the numbers still definitely favor him, and he's really good putter on bent grass, so I think I'm fine with him. Tommy, we'll talk about him in a little bit. I love Tommy this week. I think I'm going to bet him to win. But out of the 8K range, we've got Bobby Mack and Shane Lowry making appearances. Keegan's in the top 10. Hideki's lingering. Some of the 7K guys, Spawn, Davis Thompson, Keith Mitchell, no surprise, I think, on any of them. If we look at their pedigree over the last couple of months, all of them look really solid. I just wish Keith Mitchell could, string together 4 good rounds in a row. Ben Griffin's also in that grouping, but I think he missed the cut last week, so it's going to be pretty tough for me to get to him. All in all, again, this is an elevated event. There's only 72 golfers. A lot of these guys in the top 25, 30, they're all going to be spectacular golfers. I think, honestly, the biggest thing to do with these types of events for my model is to look at the guys that are like at the bottom. That's going to be the telltale towns. Like right here, Justin Rose is one of the highest owned guys in all of the 7K range, and he models absolutely horribly for me. He strings together a lot of bogeys, clearly. Doesn't hit it that far. It doesn't hit many greens in regulation. It seems to be that a lot of his recent successes have come in other ways than what this course really lends itself to. But so I'm going to be completely out on him. That's going to be one of those guys, maybe in the betting market, I'm looking to go for matchups against him because the field's going to be owning him this heavily. I really think just going the other side when he does not model well at all for this golf course could kind of be a big boost. Give you much better odds. Same with Tom Hoagie. He's one of the highest owned in the 6K range. He doesn't model well at all. Do you have anything in the top 50? Okay, he's good at sand saves. Other than that, it's just nothing really fits for his recent performances for this course. So probably won't be going there. Akshay is another one. Some of these highly owned 7K, 6K guys just do not model well for me. I think this is a great opportunity alone, just looking at the numbers, for you to get different this week. I mean, you can run with the sheep and go ahead and play Akshay, play Tom Hoagie, play, who was, I'm dumbfounded why I just completely brain farted, and play Justin Rose. But the numbers for me say go against the grain. Don't be playing them. What are some other guys? First, got right here, Jordan Spieth. All right, I know it's a short field, 39th. Oh, that doesn't sound too bad, but again, 72 golfers, barely middle of the pack. He is probably going to be the second highest owned guy in the entire field out of the 9K range. And his golf game, yes, it's been a lot better recently, so some of these numbers are reflective of how he was playing earlier in the year. Do not scream he's going to do well. Yes, he's got the distance, he's good at sand saves, but like nothing else is really screaming Jordan Spieth needs to be 40% owned. Same with Vic. But all in all, I think this alone says when everybody's going to zig, go ahead and zag. So that's kind of the model. Let's go ahead and sort this by salary. Start looking at this ownership for each range. Try to find some pivots to actually, give you that leg up on the field. And for me, again, like I said, it all starts with JT. If he's going to be the lowest owned in the 10K range, coming off of a win, he's playing really good golf. He can finally relax, take a deep breath, play his game, and he models incredibly well. I know I've already talked about him. The only thing that's going to hold him back again is his putting on bent grass. If he can just putt to a 0, I'm pretty confident he can contend with the rest of his game. That is not taking anything away from Rory, Colin, Xander. I think you can play all of them. But for me, it's going to be JT. I can't fathom why only 17% of the field is going to play him. And everybody's just going to flock to Rory, Xander, clearly Spieth in the 9K range. And he's going to be forgotten about. I mean, what is this? Out of the top 10 price golfers, he has the third lowest ownership. Sign me up all day. And then even when you're looking at the 9K range, Cantlay just loves this like northeastern bent grass type of course. So honestly, I could see him popping off. But again, he doesn't score well in my model. All right, he hits bogeys. Yes, he's pretty good tee to green striking total. He doesn't get there in greens and regulation. He's middle of the pack for scrambling sand saves. I mean, he's a positive for bent grass, and he's second on short courses, but it just nothing screams I need to play Patrick Cantlay. Same thing for Spieth. The three guys I'm going to be looking at are the lowest owned in this range. It's going to be Ludwig, it's going to be Russell Henley, it's going to be Tommy Fleetwood. But I think the first one that I'm going to be going to is going to be Tommy Fleetwood. Again, this guy is known as he can't win on the PGA Tour. But we are in a field without Scotty. That alone just boosts everybody's win probability up substantially. All right, tee to green, he's third in the field over the last 36. He's top 10 in strokes gained total, bogey avoidance. Top 15 greens and regulation. He's fine sand saves and scrambling. And then all in all, I mean, these are not predictive stats, so to speak, but he's a positive on bent grass, and he's just fine on short courses. I really think everything is setting up for Tommy Fleetwood to really make a run at this course. Let's just looking at his recent success. I'm pretty sure, again, we'll talk about it later with some of my favorite bets. He has a top 20 in 12 of the last 18 events dating back to the Olympics. I know that's kind of cherry picking with the cut here and the 34th, but then if we look back before that, 15th at the Travelers in 2024, 16th at the U.S. Open, Memorial, he's a top 20. I mean, this guy is just an absolute machine. He picks up on approach pretty much every single week, pretty much off the tee every single week. The thing that's going to hold him back is putting. And again, he's a positive on bent grass. I'm going to be all over him. I really think this could be the week that Tommy Fleetwood pulls through and gets the win. It's just everything screams he can do it. If he can just, stay out of those traps in those pockets off the tee, because he is not the farthest hitter, I think he will be just fine. Next up is going to be Ludwig. The game really isn't in a great spot right now. But all in all, we know what he offers. He is going to be a very boom or bust type golfer. And when he does hit, we're talking, again, it's the Century. T5 at the Century. He got that illness, bounces back immediately for a win, does just fine at the API, has some struggles, 7th at the Masters, wasn't the best at the Heritage, but he's still getting by. He rarely is ever going to lose just a ton of strokes in any category. He's almost always going to be either a 0 or positive or just in the negative. And again, the model alone says that he's in a really good spot. Over the last 36, great tee to green, great strokes gained total weighted. He's got the distance. I think I do prefer him on more narrow and long courses, but that's not saying much. I think the biggest thing for me is this right here. He puts very well on bent grass, and he's really good on these short courses. I just wish it was more narrow, because he is a lot more accurate than some of these longer hitters off the tee, and this course is fairly forgiving at spots. The fairways are fairly wide, so you can kind of spray and pray a little bit. But his game, I think, can be reflective here, and it's going to be reflected pretty much everywhere. The last guy that I wanted to talk about for this range is going to be Russell Henley. He doesn't model the best, so take it, again, with a grain of salt, but he's 6 strokes gained total. He's not the furthest off the tee, but this could be one of those cases where he is avoiding the problem areas in the fairway off the tee because he's so short. It's just going to give him longer irons into the greens. But great out of the sand if he does find them. He scrambles very well. He's good on short courses. I think he could be a really good pivot. He's one of the lowest owned guys, actually, total in the 9K range. But Tommy's going to be the guy for me in the 9K range, just like JT's the guy for me in the 10K range. Moving down to the 8K range, there are going to be pockets of guys of ownership, and it's going to be Hideki. It's probably going to be Berger. I'm kind of shocked that Connors is this low, because he is also kind of buzzing around the industry. And then Keegan Bradley. Those are going to be the guys getting almost all the ownership. I'm perfectly fine with all of them. I think Hideki, he finally has slowed down. I think he was playing a lot more golf earlier in the year. He's taken a couple weeks off. I don't want to see where his game's at. It's one of those, he's just kind of getting by. So, like, nothing crazy, nothing like he did at the Century. I just don't know if at close to 9K, a 20th is going to be good enough for you when a lot of these guys are going to be contending, if not possibly winning the golf tournament. But, in general, he's great tee to green. Strokes and totals are fine. He avoids bogeys. Doesn't hit it the farthest. Great out of the sand. Great scrambler. And he's just fine on short courses. I think this big thing is going to be the bent grass. I don't know if he's going to putt that well. He doesn't putt that well on any course. So Hideki, I'm not really going to be high on Connors. I do think he's going to be a guy that gets steamed up. He's great tee to green, strokes and total, but doesn't hit it that far. Doesn't really avoid bogeys. He's not a good scrambler. I think if he got himself into some trouble, he could be in dangerous territory. But again, it's no cut, so you're picking up points every day, for all 4 days. Berger's going to be the next one. Again, he is looking extremely high owned for this range. I think the direct pivot for me is going to be just going down to Shane Lowry. He grades out a lot better. Again, some of these guys that don't really hit it that far, unless everything else is popping for me, I'm not really going to get there. But he doesn't hit it that far, so he might run into some trouble off the tee. He doesn't hit it that well out of the sand. I mean, he does scramble decently. But I think, again, just like with Connors, if he gets himself into some trouble off the tee because he is a shorter guy, we could run into some issues. My direct pivot, again, is going to be going to Shane Lowry. So, again, he doesn't hit it the farthest, but everything else resonates with me. Everything else is popping for the model. I think he's in a really good spot as a direct pivot for a lot less ownership. And then going all the way down to Keegan. I mean, he models fairly well. He's not very highly owned, but just he's really consistent. So, like, again, 72 golfers, the worst category is greens and regulation for 40th. Everything else is just fine. He hits it far. I don't think he's going to get into much trouble off the tee. And he's fine on bent grass. He's good on short courses. He's a good scrambler. I think just all in all, this looks like a good spot for him. The guy I'm going to be going to, it's going to be the lowest owned guy in this entire, again, it's just like JT. I'm going to be either in first or in dead last for this week just because I'm going to be taking all leverage plays. My guy this week is going to be Bobby Mack. Again, he has not been playing all that well. So let's just look at his recent form. Not Roberto Diaz. What are you doing? Okay, so again, his last three, those are take with a grain of salt because it's a team event. I don't really factor this in at all. T32, at least they made the cut. Heritage, not the best. Masters, not the best. It's going to be really tough when you're losing for this amount on approach and putting. And then for the Heritage, again, just around the green, he shot himself in the foot. He's fine off the tee. It's going to be really tough to compete. But just before that, T9 at the Singapore Classic, again, it's a European event. 9th at the Players, 11th at the API, 6th at the Phoenix Open. I mean, these are strong fields. Again, he's going to be a boom or bust, very similar to Ludwig. But if we hit that boom week and he can pick it up on approach, which seems to be his bread and butter, I think he really can contend. And the numbers say for this course, like, you just want to be a grinder, pick up your pars, score when you can score. He doesn't pick up many bogeys. He hits it far enough. He's greens and regulations. He's getting it on the putting surface. Yeah, he doesn't really, have much in the way of sand saves, but he's a decent scrambler. So if he gets in at least around the green, he can scramble his way out of it. He's fine on bent grass. It's short course. I only have like a couple percent on this, 10%. But this is not a predictive stat, so I'm not really all that worried. All the biggest things I'm looking at are, does he get it greens in regulation? Does he avoid the bogeys? And is he going to be able to scramble if he does get himself into trouble? He checks all those boxes, and he's just fine tee to green and strokes gained total. So Bobby Mack is going to be that guy. If he's going to be 5% owned, I'm going to be all over that. What's crazy for me, the 7K range and below, for right now, I mean, this is due to change. There's not a single guy being projected for over 10% ownership. Would I be surprised if that does hold? No. But there are quite a few guys that I think could stand out, especially in this 7K range, that are being overlooked. I think the first one is going to be for me, Davis Thompson. His recent form is actually a lot better. He's having a really good year, kind of a sneaky good year. So, yeah, he's got a couple cuts. The API and the Cognizant weren't his best outings, but he couldn't putt to save his life. Since then, again, a T10 at the Players, very strong field. T46 in the Masters, at least he made the cut. Again, if he could have just putted, he was great on approach, which, again, is his bread and butter. We are really starting to see his game turn around in that category. I really do think he has the game to possibly make some waves here. It's all going to come down to, can he putt on bent grass? I think that'll be the one thing that holds him back. He's not good on that surface. But everything else is fairly good. I mean, he doesn't have the best sand saves. But again, does he hit the green in regulation? Yes, he does. Is he long enough off the tee? Yes, he does. Does he avoid bogeys? Yes, he does. He's literally top 10 in this field, tee to green. For this field, that is incredibly strong. He's going to be a guy that I'm heavily going to look at. Aaron Rye, honestly, is kind of in a similar boat. He's great tee to green, avoids the bogeys, hits the green regulation, but he is just not long off the tee. And if he gets himself into some trouble off the tee, I think he's really going to struggle. The biggest thing, he's incredibly accurate, so I don't predict this being a huge factor, and that's probably why his model ranking isn't as strong as it could be. So I think he is perfectly fine. Very similar to Davis Thompson. As long as he can just putt, he's a little bit better of a putter. I think he can make some waves here. Next up is going to be, again, the highest owned guy in the 7K range, Justin Rose, has the lowest model ranking for me. So either I'm completely wrong, and you guys can laugh at me next week, or I'm going to be winning all the money this week, because I'm going to be avoiding pretty much all the high-end guys in the 7 and 6K range. For me, just below him, JG Spawn grades out way better. Top 15 tee to green, strokes gained total, and as a bogey avoidance. He hits it far enough. He's literally first in this entire field, greens and regulation. His biggest thing that's holding back is going to be the scrambling stats. He's not the best on bent grass, and he's not the best on short courses for this field. I'm more interested in these 4 categories over anything, so sign me up for some JJ Spawn. The same can be said for Keith Mitchell. So outside the bogey avoidance, he is good tee to green, and all right when it comes to strokes gained total. But he hits it far. I don't think he's going to have any issues off the tee. And at least he gets it on the green regulation. Biggest thing for him is always going to be putting. He is not a good putter, and this guy cannot string together 4 good rounds in a row to save his life. I mean, he is the ultimate first round leader, finishes like T35 by the end of the week. If he can just string 4 good rounds together in a row, I think he could be a decent option. I think there are better options like Spawn, Rye, Davis Thompson in the 7K range that I would rather go to. If you want to go off name value, I mean, we've got some really strong golfers. Tony Finau, Benny On, Will Zalatoris, Akshay, they're all going to garner, I think, a good amount of ownership. But again, the guys around them just grade out in the model much better. The Ben Griffins, the Taylor Pendriths, even Michael Kim, he grades out a whole lot better. Pendrith really has my attention. He's really strong off the tee. He hits it really far. My biggest thing is just, again, there's a ton of sand traps. If he can't get out of the sand, he might as well just shoot yourself in the foot there. But he's a decent bent grass putter. I think that could help him big time this week. He's a guy that I think under the radar, just 5% ownership, could make some waves. And then, again, just like Justin Rose, I'm probably going to be fading Akshay. He's going to be the highest owned in the range and have this poor of a score. He does not hit it far. At least he's decent. So, like, he doesn't hit it far. If he does get into trouble off the tee, he might be able to recover. But he's not a good bent grass putter, not good on short courses. Nothing resonates for me. Michael Kim starting to slow down. I think this score is really based off of that scorching hot run he went on about a month and a half ago. But the rest of this range, just nothing's really speaking to me. And then into the 6K range. Again, we have some names. I'm just going to rattle some of them off. We got Sahith, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tom Hoagie, Adam Scott, Homa, Dietrich. Like, we have names down here. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know how many of these guys are actually going to, like, in a good spot to do much. Not many of them grade out all that well. Just going down the list, we've got really no one until we get to Eric Cole, which I hate this guy. Like, I don't actually hate him. I never get him right. Every time I play him, he sucks. Tee to green and strokes gained total, he's fine. He avoids bogeys at a decent clip. Just this can be right here. If he's not getting it on the green, I think he's going to have to scramble his balls off. And yeah, he can kind of do it. And he's one of the shortest in this field. I think it's going to be really tough for him. But he's good on short courses. So if that's a positive, that's something to look at. He could be one that's sneaky decent. Max Graserman, what has he been up to lately? I know he was doing fairly well at the beginning of the year. But what is he up to lately? Just barely getting by. I think these numbers are fine. We're talking a guy in the 6K range. If we're looking at the last 8 tournaments, top 20s or top 30s in 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. A T32 at the Masters is just fine. The mixed cut at the Players and the Houston Open, I guess it comes with approach, but this right here. I don't think I can take a guy that has lost on approach in 5 straight. Just not going to happen for me. That just screams my game is going the wrong direction, so I'm not going to really be on him. Adam Scott is going to be another one. He just doesn't play in enough tournaments, or does he? Yeah, again, we're barely skating by. He doesn't do a ton anymore. There's just a lot more red than green over the last month. I don't think I'm going to be getting to him, even though he models halfway decent. I think for me, and you'll read it in the article, there's one positive thing we can look at for Max Homa, is that maybe, just maybe, we are going to start seeing the approach numbers turn around. This is just decimating. Look how terrible he was on approach. He has changed caddies. I think it was before the Masters when he made a caddy change. We are finally gaining on approach. There's a glimmer of hope. I think this is going to be the week. I don't think anyone's going to play him. I wouldn't really want to play him, but I'd rather play the game of taking the ownership advantage. And I think I'm going to get to some Max Homa. I would rather be early than late on him, because he's the type of guy, at least when it comes to Draftkings salary, that he strings together 3-4 decent, tournaments in a row, maybe a couple top 10s. I mean, he's going to be going from being 6,500 all the way up to like the 8K, 9K range again. I really think this could be the beginning for him if he has found something with his irons. The rest of his game kind of was just hit or miss. I mean, if we kind of look here, like at the Masters, he gained putting. He's pretty wishy-washy, either a 0 or, again, he's gaining. Off the tee has been a big struggle for him, but at least he's gaining on distance again. And for this week, we really are trying to focus on distance. I think there are some crumbs. He's leaving a crumb trail that I think could be leading towards him finally turning it around. It all just come down to the mental game. I think with him, it's very similar to when JT last year was really, really struggling. I think it was all mental. I think for him, it's all mental, and he needed some changes. And I think getting a new guy on the bag has worked some wonders for him, at least with his irons. And we can finally, get back on track. Like, he has not played in the last 2 weeks. He's probably been out on the range working big time with who is his new caddy? Maximum caddy. I did look this up. Bill Hark. All right, I think he's probably been working with Bill Hark big time. This could be the week that he finally unleashes some new stuff, and we can see him get back to playing like he did. Like, I want to look at the 2024, that early 2024, playing like this again, where he is gaining on approach substantially. He's gaining enough off the tee. He's just doing all the right things and putting again. It's definitely pointing in the right direction. For me, he's going to be a guy that I'm going to target. The rest of this range, I mean, nothing's really speaking to me. If you want to take a shot on Alex Noren, that's fine. I'm not taking a shot on him if he's going to be 5% owned. Like, we have guys like Seabass, less than 1%. Joe Highsmith, less than 1%. Chris Kirk, 2%. Higo, who I'm pretty sure, isn't Higo coming off a win? Higo. Am I stupid? Oh, 2024. I was like, where is it going on? I'm not going to count the Zurich, but he's coming off of, as a solo, Club Car Championship on the Corn Ferry Tour, T3, and a win at Krause. Like, he's doing something right. 2% owned. I'm going to take him, who's in good form, over a guy that has not played in, like, months and months and months. I know he models well. He could bounce straight back. Who knows, but not doing it. And then the rest of those ranges, these guys just aren't doing it. I'm shocked. I don't know how Cam Davis just isn't a good golfer. Guy's so hit or miss, but he's probably the best the 6K range, or the bottom 6K. So yeah, if we are going, just work our way back up. If I'm talking in the 6K range, guys, that I'm going to be targeting are going to be, it's going to be Homa. I'm going to target Glover. I didn't talk about him, but I think this fits him. No, I'm not going to be targeting Glover. I lied. I thought he graded a lot better. Maybe it was Gerard. I don't know what I'm rambling about at this point. But yeah, I think I'm gonna bounce back and go to Homa. I'm gonna take a swing. If I miss, that's fine. I'm gonna be fading Hoagie. I'm gonna be fading a lot of these guys, picking up more ownership in this range. 6K. I'm probably not gonna get down to the 6K range all that much, if I'm being quite honest. 7K range again, fading some of the higher end guys. I'm fading Akshay. I'm gonna be fading. Where is he? Justin Rose. I'm not getting down to it. I'm gonna be going to Spawn. I'm be going to Aaron Rye. Going to Davis Thompson. Might get some sprinkles to Taylor Pendrith. So I'm going to be going to those type of guys. The 8K range, I'm going to be very heavy on Bobby Mack to bounce back. I'm going to be heavy on Keegan Bradley. I know he's higher owned. Shane Lowry's a pivot off of Berger. Hideki I'm going to be getting to. And then the 9K range, I'm pretty much going to exclusively going to Tommy, Patrick Cantlay, Ludwig, Henley. Not getting to Spieth at that ownership. I'm not going to get to Vic at this ownership. Probably not going to get to as much Cantlay, because I do think he gets steamed up. The narrative around him is that he plays incredible in these Northeastern bent grass tournaments. So probably not going to get to him as much. And then the pivots up top, you can go with anybody in this range. If you get to Rory, fine. I'm not going to knock you. But this is going to be one of those weeks I'm going to be playing the game. I'm going to be taking the leverage guys, the pivots off of these super high-owned Rorys of the world, the Xanders of the world, the Spieths, even work our way down to maybe the Keegans, the Justin Roses, and playing those high leverage guys. That's where I'm going to be going this week. Next up, look at some of my favorite bets. I've queued some of them up. Of course, it's probably logged me out. I've got to log back in. Is it going to be there? All right, at least it has one of the singles left in here. So the first one I'm going to be looking at, if it can get me to PGA Tour, never does it the first time. All right, and we are doing round props, and that is going to be, we're going down to Nick Taylor. I think he is going to struggle mightily in this opening round. Just looking at the model numbers, let's sort by score again. We go down here. All right. Where are you? So he is in the bottom, definitely in the bottom half for me. And this course, again, you need to be longer. You need to be able to have the sand saves. He is not long, and he doesn't get out of the sand well. I think taking minus 130 on just being even par or worse for me, and I'm gonna take those odds. And he's really not in the best of form right now. Yeah, he's a T12 coming out of Zurich, but I do not count this tournament. Before that, T49, T40, cut, T31, and he's not doing it on approach. So I can't get down to it. I think he's going to struggle, and so I'm going to take the over on 69.5 strokes in round one. And then, like I talked about earlier, let's just go all the way back to the beginning. Tournament lines, nope, top finish. We're looking at the top 20 market. There's no reason Tommy Fleetwood should be minus 105, basically even money, when this man literally is a top 20 machine. Again, we'll go back. We are going to look at this. He is top 20 in... Where's the rest of them? Oh, last 25 starts. In his last 25 starts, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13... So what is that? 13 of the last, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 13 of the last 19. He is top 20, and we're getting him at even money in a field that does not have Scotty Scheffler. Sign me up. Those are going to be my favorites. I think if we're talking just round one, we're going to see some wind kind of in the latter half of the day. So they are kind of hanging some numbers that lean towards taking the overs. Just like Nick Taylor, that's kind of where I'd be at. But for right now, the two that I'm really going to be focused on are going to be over 69.5 for Nick Taylor and a top 20 for Tommy Fleetwood. So that is it for the Truist Championship. Thanks again for watching, guys. We can't wait to share all that we have going on behind the scenes. But again, in the meantime, be sure to like this video, subscribe, follow us on our socials, fill out our beta form, newsletter form, all that stuff is the best way to get in on the ground floor of what we think is going to be the industry leader in all things fantasy golf at Tap In Fantasy. Thanks again, and see you next time.